Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into Vedic astrology.
Sounds intriguing.
I've always been curious about Vedic astrology. It seems like so much more than just those, daily horoscopes.
Right, it's a whole different system.
Yeah. So we're going to explore this ancient wisdom through a classic text called the Bhavartha Ratnakara.
The Bhavartha Ratnakara, I've heard of it.
It's like a treasure trove of insights.
Yeah.
We'll uncover how Vedic astrology analyzes those planetary positions to give us clues about, like, wealth and relationships, and even major life events.
I'm definitely ready to unlock some secrets.
Me too.
Yeah.
Vedic astrology can seem pretty complex, but we're here to break it down, make it understandable, distill it down to the most interesting points.
Sounds good.
Now, the Bhavartha Ratnakara kicks off with the Lagna, kind of like your Vedic rising sign.
Ah, the Lagna.
Yeah. And this is important because it determines the whole house system for your entire chart.
Right, the foundation of your astrological blueprint.
Exactly. And get this, each Lagna has its own little quirks, its unique characteristics. Like, for example, Aries Lagna.
Okay, Aries Lagna, what about it?
So the Bhavartha Ratnakara says that Aries Lagna folks can actually benefit from, well, expenses.
Wait, benefit from spending money? How does that work?
I know, right?
Mm.
It sounds a little counterintuitive. But the text suggests that for someone with an Aries Lagna, if the lord of their second house, the house of wealth, is situated in their 12th house, which is the house of expenses,
Okay.
that can actually lead to financial gains.
So it's like their spending somehow fuels their earning.
That's what the text seems to suggest. Like maybe they invest in things, or
Yeah.
maybe it triggers some kind of resourcefulness. Who knows?
Makes you wonder if a little retail therapy could actually be good for their bank account.
Right. Maybe sometimes you do have to spend money to make money.
Interesting concept.
But I wonder, are there other Lagnas with these kind of, unexpected twists?
Oh, absolutely. There are lots of them, like take Taurus Lagna.
Okay, Taurus Lagna.
Now, generally, having the moon in your ascendant, which is basically your Lagna, is considered a good placement.
Makes sense. The moon is often associated with good things.
Right. But for Taurus Lagna, having the moon in their ascendant is actually considered unlucky.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, it's because the moon happens to be debilitated or weakened,
Okay.
in the sign of Scorpio. And for Taurus Lagna, Scorpio happens to fall in their 7th house.
Ah, so even though the moon is generally considered beneficial, its placement in this specific case makes it a bit less favorable.
Exactly. It just goes to show that even those positive planetary placements can have their downsides depending on the context,
It's all about the specifics.
Precisely. It's not just good planet, good placement. It's way more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it's like the whole birth chart is this intricate web of connections and influences.
Exactly. And speaking of those intricate connections, let's look at another Lagna, Gemini Lagna.
Gemini Lagna. Okay, what's unique about that one?
Well, for Gemini Lagna, Saturn, a planet that often gets a bad rap.
Saturn. Yeah, I thought Saturn was usually associated with limitations and challenges and things like that.
It can be. But in this case, Saturn, when placed in Aquarius, can actually create a powerful wealth yoga.
Wealth yoga. Wait, Saturn bringing wealth. Now that's a plot twist.
It is, isn't it? It shows that even those planets that might have a challenging reputation can actually bring about positive results. It all depends on their placement and, of course, the specific Lagna we're looking at.
So it's all about context.
Exactly. And this actually leads us to a really key concept in Vedic astrology: yogas.
Yogas.
Yeah, yogas are these special combinations of planets that can create specific outcomes in your life.
Okay, so like a specific recipe of planets produces a particular result.
Kind of. And in the context of wealth, we're talking about Dana yogas.
Dana yogas, the wealth combination.
Yeah, and the Bhavartha Ratnakara mentions a few of them.
So give me an example. What kind of planetary placements can create these Dana yogas?
One powerful combination is when the lords of the second house, which is the wealth house, and the 5th house, the house of luck,
Okay.
exchange places. It's called parivartana.
So you're
Yeah.
basically switching houses, amplifying each other's energies.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's considered a strong indication of wealth.
Sounds good. I like that. So are there other planetary placements that create these Dana yogas?
Oh, yeah, lots of them. The text really highlights the role of Jupiter and Mercury in wealth creation.
Jupiter, Mercury, huh?
Yeah, Jupiter's the planet of expansion, good fortune,
Mm-hmm.
and Mercury rules intellect and communication.
Right.
So imagine those two working together to open up financial opportunities and really boost your money-making abilities.
That's a team I want on my side.
Right.
Now, are there any combinations to like watch out for? Ones that might, suggest a less than ideal financial situation?
Oh, definitely. There are also poverty yogas to be aware of.
Poverty yogas. Okay, tell me more about those.
For instance, if the lord of your ascendant, your Langya lord, okay, ends up in the 8th house, which is the house of, sudden changes and upheavals, along with the lords of the 4th and 9th houses, the houses representing fortune and luck.
Interesting.
Well, that particular combination could indicate some financial struggles.
So it's not just about attracting wealth, but also understanding the potential challenges. It's like having a cosmic financial advisor, giving you the heads up.
That's a great way to put it. Vedic astrology provides that holistic view. It shows you both the opportunities and the potential pitfalls.
Fascinating. And I guess it's not just about wealth, right? Vedic astrology also dives into those planetary influences on family dynamics.
Absolutely.
Like siblings, fortune, and children.
All of that.
Okay, family dynamics, always an interesting topic, sometimes a bit complicated too. So what does the Bhavartha Ratnakara have to say about those family matters?
Well, it starts by looking at the 3rd house, the house of siblings.
Third house siblings, got it.
And it suggests that specific planetary placements there can really influence the quality of those sibling relationships.
I can see that. Like what kind of placements?
For example, if planets like, Mars or Saturn
That's too.
happen to eclipse the 3rd house,
Okay.
well, that might suggest some conflicts or even separation from siblings.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Sibling relationships can be tricky sometimes.
they can be.
Okay, so we've talked about the 3rd house, siblings. What about the 4th house? The house of, fortune and happiness.
Ah, the 4th house. Now that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
The text says that having Jupiter in the 4th house indicates owning horses.
Owning horses. Whoa. Talk about a blast from the past.
Right, it paints such a vivid picture.
It does. So I'm guessing a strong 4th house isn't just about material wealth then, but also that deeper sense of like contentment and happiness.
Absolutely. It's about having a solid foundation in life, feeling secure and fulfilled.
But of course there are nuances, right? Because isn't everything in astrology about those subtle details?
Oh, totally. Like, the text mentions that if Saturn is in the 4th house,
Saturn, okay.
it could mean living abroad.
That sounds nice.
But it also might point to, well, not living in the most ideal conditions.
So maybe not the glamorous expat life we often think of.
Maybe not. It's about looking at the whole picture,
Right, always looking at the whole picture. Okay, so we've got the 3rd house, siblings, 4th house, fortune and happiness. What about the 5th house, the house of children?
Ah, the 5th house. The Bhavartha Ratnakara suggests that a strong connection between Jupiter and the lord of the 5th house is a really strong indication of having children.
So Jupiter, good fortune, connected to the house of children. Makes sense.
Right. It's amazing how this ancient system can provide insight into those specific life events.
It is. So by analyzing these 3 houses together, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we can really start to get a sense of someone's family life.
Exactly. Their potential for material well-being, the likelihood of having children, all of that.
It's like weaving together different threads to create a tapestry of someone's life story.
I like that.
Now, we've covered wealth, family, but life isn't always sunshine and roses, right? There are challenges too.
That's true.
So what about some of those tougher aspects of life, like facing enemies, dealing with illnesses, even, the question of longevity?
All important topics.
They are. So what does the Bhavartha Ratnakara have to say about those more challenging areas?
This is where we delve into the 6th, 8th, and 9th houses.
Okay, those houses.
So the 6th house deals with enemies, illness, obstacles, all those things that can create friction in our lives. For example, if a planet in that 6th house is connected to your Lagna Lord, it can indicate specific health concerns you might face.
Interesting. Like what kind of specific concerns?
The text gives a really specific example. It says that if the sun is conjunct your Lagna Lord and the moon is conjunct the lord of the 6th house,
Okay.
it suggests a potential weakness to fevers and a need to be cautious around water.
Wow, that's incredibly specific. So it's not just like general health, but it can pinpoint potential vulnerabilities.
Exactly. It's about understanding those nuanced influences.
Now, what about longevity? That's always a, slightly sensitive topic.
It is, but the Bhavartha Ratnakara approaches it from a very analytical perspective.
Okay, good to know.
And it links longevity to the 8th house.
The 8th house longevity.
Now, here's an interesting twist. Saturn, often seen as a challenging planet,
Saturn again.
can actually be beneficial for lifespan when it's placed in that 8th house.
So even the planets we might tend to fear
Right.
can actually have positive qualities depending on their position.
It's all about context, you know? Each planet has its own unique energy, and how that energy manifests depends on a whole bunch of factors.
Makes sense. So we've talked about wealth, family, challenges, but I'm curious, does Vedic astrology offer any insights into, achieving greatness, like reaching a kingly level of success?
You're talking about Raja Yogas.
Or Yogas, okay.
Yeah. They're these powerful planetary combinations that can indicate success, leadership qualities, and, yes, even the potential for achieving that significant status and recognition.
So the Bhavartha Ratnakara actually talks about these Raja Yogas.
It does.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me some examples of these royal combinations.
Well, specific placements of the lords of the 2nd, 5th, 9th, and 10th houses can create a potent Raja Yoga.
Those houses, okay.
And these houses are associated with wealth, luck, dharma, purpose and career. It's like having all these key areas of life supercharged by positive planetary energies.
So it's about having all these different areas working in harmony, amplifying each other.
Exactly. It's like having the synergistic effect where everything just clicks into place.
I like that.
And here's another fascinating detail. Rahu.
Rahu, that shadowy planet.
Yeah, Rahu, often seen as a malefic planet, can actually grant Raja Yoga during its planetary period.
Whoa, hold on. Rahu bringing the win. That's a surprise.
It is, isn't it? But it's true. When Rahu is placed in specific houses, like the 10th house of career, it can bring about unexpected success, propel you towards those great heights.
So it's like having this secret weapon that nobody sees coming.
Exactly. And it just goes to show that even those planets with a more challenging reputation can bring about some pretty amazing results when the conditions are right.
This is incredible. But before we get too carried away with dreams of becoming royalty.
Right.
There's so much more to uncover in the Bhavartha Ratnakara. We've got to see what other secrets this ancient text holds. So we've seen that even Rahu, that planet that's often associated with like illusion and sudden changes, can actually play a part in a Raja Yoga. It's like there's always another layer to peel back with Vedic astrology. What else does the Bhavartha Ratnakara have for us?
Well, it makes a really interesting connection between career and something you might not expect, religious pilgrimages.
Wait, really? Career and pilgrimages? I don't quite see the link.
It's fascinating, right? So the text links pilgrimages to the 10th house.
The 10th house. That's the house of career, right?
Yeah.
And dharma, purpose.
Exactly. And it suggests that certain planetary placements in the 10th house can actually indicate a person's inclination towards like spiritual journeys.
So it's not just about your everyday job, but maybe also about fulfilling a deeper, spiritual calling.
Precisely. Vedic astrology reminds us that career isn't just about worldly success, It can be about aligning with your soul's purpose.
I like that. And speaking of life's journeys,
Yeah.
the Bhavartha Ratnakara also goes into a bit of a more sensitive topic.
Oh, which one?
Death.
Yes.
Definitely feels like we're entering like uncharted territory here.
I understand it can feel a bit heavy.
Yeah.
But the Bhavartha Ratnakara, it approaches it from a very analytical perspective.
Okay, good to know.
It looks at death through the lens of 3 houses, the 2nd, the 8th, and the 12th.
Those houses being possessions, longevity, and endings.
Exactly. It makes sense when you think about it, right?
It does.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how does it actually work? Like planets predicting death? That seems a little intense.
I know, it sounds a bit daunting. But it's not about, predicting the exact moment or anything like that.
Okay, that's good to hear.
It's more about understanding those potential influences during certain periods. For example, the text mentions that for people with Taurus Lagna, Mercury, and Venus, when they're in Virgo, can become what's called maracas for each other.
Maracas. That sounds ominous.
I know the literal translation is death-inflicting planets.
Oh, wow.
But it's not as straightforward as it sounds. It's suggesting that during those specific planetary periods, those planets might be associated with significant changes, or endings, not necessarily literal death.
But more like a time of major transformation, maybe a transition.
Exactly. And speaking of those planetary periods,
oh yeah,
this brings us to the concept of dasas.
Dasas, yes. I've heard that term, but To be honest, I need a little refresher on what they actually are.
Sure. Think of dasas as these distinct planetary periods that influence different phases of your life.
Okay.
So each planet has its own dasa. They have varying durations.
Right, right.
And the idea is that during a specific planet's dasa, that planet's energy kind of comes to the forefront. It shapes your experiences.
So it's like each planet gets its time to shine, influencing our lives based on its placement and how strong it is in our birth chart.
You got it. And the Bhavartha Ratnakara actually gives some interesting examples. It says that Venus and Jupiter together in Scorpio can create a really powerful Raja Yoga during Venus's dasa.
Yeah.
However,
There's a however.
there's a however.
Yeah.
It also says that when the sun is conjunct other planets,
Okay.
well, the sun's dasa might become a little less favorable.
Why is that? I thought the sun was generally, a positive planet.
It is, but the sun also represents our ego, our sense of self.
Right, right.
And when it's too close to other planets, that energy can become kind of overbearing, maybe leading to some challenges during its dasa.
So even the sun needs its space.
Yeah.
It's all about balance. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And understanding these subtle nuances, it's really key to interpreting Vedic astrology. It's not just about, good planets or bad planets. It's about understanding those complex interactions.
Right, right. Now, we've covered a lot, but I know the Bhavartha Ratnakara doesn't stop there.
Oh, not at all. It also delves into some more advanced concepts.
Ooh, advanced concepts. Like what?
Like Gramalika yogas.
Gramalika yogas. Okay, what are those?
They happen when all the planets occupy like a continuous set of houses in your chart.
Whoa, all the planets lined up like that. That sounds incredibly rare.
It is. And because of that, the effects are thought to be really unique, really powerful.
I can imagine.
And there's even debate about whether those yogas actually start from the Lanya or from the sun's position.
Oh, really?
Adds another layer of complexity.
It does. So Gramalika yogas, rare but potentially very influential. Got it.
Anything else we should know about?
One more thing the text touches on is planetary rulerships.
Okay, planetary rulerships.
Basically, each planet has these affinities with certain zodiac signs, which can really impact, how strong and effective that planet is in your chart.
So it's like each planet has its favorite hangout spots in the zodiac.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some signs boost a planet's energy, while others might dampen it. It's just another dimension to understanding how those planets work in your chart.
It's amazing, really, all these intricate details that come together to create this rich tapestry of Vedic astrology.
It is. It's a beautiful system.
Planetary hangouts, these rare planetary alignments, houses representing different parts of our lives.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much depth there is to Vedic astrology.
It is a vast and intricate system.
We've only just scratched the surface, haven't we?
Yeah. It's like dipping our toes into an ocean of knowledge.
So for our listener, someone who's just starting to explore Vedic astrology,
They might be feeling a little overwhelmed with all this information.
it's understandable. There's a lot to take in.
What would you say is the key takeaway for them? How can they actually use this knowledge in a practical way?
I think the most important thing is to approach Vedic astrology with a sense of curiosity, not with fear or apprehension.
Curiosity, not fear. I like that.
Yeah. Don't get bogged down in all the, technical terms.
Right, right.
Or feel like you need to become an expert overnight.
Nobody expects that.
Instead, just focus on that core principle. The positions of the planets at your birth can offer really valuable insights into different areas of your life.
It's like having this personalized cosmic map, right?
Exactly. And it's not about predicting some fixed destiny or anything like that.
Okay, good to know. So it's not like a fortune teller dictating your future.
Not at all. Vedic astrology is more like a guide.
A guide, okay.
It helps you understand the energies at play and then empowers you to make choices that are aligned with, your highest potential.
So it's less about fate.
And more about self-understanding.
Precisely. And as you start to explore your own birth chart, you might discover, hidden talents or gain a deeper understanding of your relationships.
Right, right.
Or even find clarity about your life's purpose.
It's like having a cosmic therapist, helping you navigate all the twists and turns.
I love that analogy. It's so true.
And remember, everyone, this deep dive was really just a glimpse into what the Bhavartha Ratnakara has to offer. There's so much more to explore.
Oh, absolutely. It's a starting point.
A jumping off point.
So I encourage you to, take this as inspiration to go further. Look up your own birth chart. Explore the placements of the planets in your specific Lanya and see what resonates with you.
Right, this personal connections.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
It's like going on a personal astrological adventure.
It is. And as we wrap up our deep dive today,
Yes.
I have one final thought-provoking question for our listeners. Okay, I love a good thought-provoking question. Hit me.
If the placement of the planets can really influence our lives in these specific ways, what does that tell us about the interconnectedness of the cosmos
Ooh, the cosmos.
and our own individual journeys?
That's a powerful question. It really makes you think about how we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And it reminds us that the universe holds infinite possibilities waiting to be uncovered.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Vedic astrology.
My pleasure. It's been a fascinating journey.
I hope it sparked your curiosity and maybe even inspired you to explore those fascinating connections between, the cosmos and your own life. Until next time, happy exploring.